Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the WCW Saturday Night Review Series for February 6, 1993. We are a few weeks away from the Fall Brawl. I'm sorry, not the Super Brawl, not Fall Brawl. It is in fall. So, anyway, 93 edition, which is the first one that I saw live. Anyway, so Steve Austin and Brian Pillman, the Hollywood Blondes, I believe that's the first time they've used the name. Johnny B. Bad and Too Cold Scorpio. Scorpio running through partners. Last week it was Brad Armstrong. This week it is Johnny B. Bad. But a good match to be had by all here for a variety of reasons, not limited to the fact that all four guys in the ring are talented individuals. Scorpio and Pillman is a really cool combination that I wish we'd seen more of at the time. And certainly, Pillman complains about his tights being pulled. Pillman breaks things down pretty simply speaking and tries to do a lot of begging off, a lot of heel work there. Tag off to Johnny B. Bad. Bad comes in via the top rope, stays on the arm of Pillman. Obviously, Johnny B. Bad, probably the weakest of the workers in the bunch, but not because he's a bad worker, just because ultimately, in comparison, he doesn't go as far with his career. Clotheslines by Bad and manages to keep Austin down a little bit. The tag off to Austin had happened mid-match. Then we see Pillman with I guess you'd call it a release suplex of Scorpio onto the floor. They cut off on Scorpio for the next several minutes here. Pillman sends Scorpio into the mat, grinds the face into the mat, does everything he possibly can to get an advantage. They are moving towards the tag team championships. Odd to me that the Hollywood Blondes tag team was only around for less than a year. Johnny B. Bad comes off the top rope with a beautiful sunset flip off the top. Austin does the cutoff and does not get nearly all that he wants out of that process. Attempted roll up by Bad, who gets nailed by Austin, and a pull of the tights and some other stuff leads to ultimately a run for the Hollywood Blondes to begin. Barry Windham talks about wanting to face Dustin Rhodes again. Sting does a promo against the upcoming match with Vader, and I gotta grab my phone, so we'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail with the first match of Lord Steven Regal along the way here, among other things, but we'll be back in just a little bit with some more WCW action. Then we see the continuation of the heel turn of, the heel turn of Barry Windham was a moment ago. Bob Cook and William Regal, aka Steve Regal at this point, is pretty well there. Regal wearing the Union Jack on his tights, and lots of arm bars, lots of basic wrestling. Regal is so good and actually makes wrestling look like a sport. I think there's a chance that A, I'm going to grab my phone again, but B, that Regal may be the type of wrestling I like most. That British, stronger style with comedy interspersed with meaningful stuff, but who's to say? All I know for sure is that Regal is phenomenal in nature, and hip tosses, drop kicks, basic stuff, knee lift that actually looks like it actually hurts as opposed to the goofy stuff that half the guys do today, and a modified, almost, I guess, lifted power slam, I guess would be the best way to say it. Regal does get a victory. We go to a Super Brawl Control Center thing here, and then we see Ron Simmons getting a short victory, some highlights, going through things. Honestly, these control centers, for my taste, are too long. We recap the issue with Eric Watts and Arn Anderson, which, again, remains a little too long. Of course, that's pretty well abandoned in the next little while. Watts says that he is sick of being having the bounty put on him in an interview, but the reason it's abandoned is because Flair returns at Super Brawl, which completely changes a lot of storylines. Ron Simmons in a short um, squash match here. Former world champion, fallen quite far, if you ask me, in the sense that he has, in fact, had very little follow up to his push after the championship deal. He sends the enhancement talent down with a bunch of punches, kicks, and eventually a power slam. Simmons seems a little lost after this, though. Might have been worth it to turn him heel. Rhodes wants to get his hands on Barry Windham. After all of this, also, there's acknowledgement of Simmons saying he wants to be the U.S. champion and challenge Rhodes. They've been friends, but friendship doesn't matter nearly as much. There is some bracketing for the upcoming television championship that we'll see in the coming weeks and months. Then we see probably one of the hottest angles at the time in 1993, Jim Cornette and the Heavenly Bodies, which in this case is Stan Lane and Tom Pritchard, coming out, Bobby Eaton along with them. Cornette basically says WCW completely screwed him out of a contract. Says they left 2 years ago. They've been down in the Smoky Mountains, but they are upset that the Rock and Roll Express are there. There is a brawl between the Express and the Rock and Roll and the Heavenly Bodies. Heavenly Bodies, of course, are Lane and Pritchard at this point. The Bill Watts basically says that there is no sanctioned ability, but he does sanction a quasi match right there on the spot, sends him up to hook it up in the middle of the ring, and Cornette then complains about that because they haven't had time to prepare. So, short with referee mini match there. Rock and Roll Express manages to go at the Heavenly Bodies. Tag Team Championships not on the line, although they are at Super Brawl a few days later. Angle could have gone much further, but the ending of Bill Watts' tenure in the area contributes to that in a negative way. Cornette sends the Heavenly Bodies back in, and again, this would have been a great time to have a trade agreement, but with Bischoff taking over in a matter of months, I don't think that ever was on the table. Morton and Pritchard, who have a really good chemistry together, do the up and over and around. Worth going out of your way to see this storyline unfold. If you like Southern Wrestling International Company, if you like character-driven wrestling as opposed to the spot-driven trash that's available today, if you like, all of that, and then again you see the tag-off between the Rock and Roll Express. Good double teams by the Rock and Roll Express, and he lifts along the way and hits just about everything he can. The Rock and Rolls are able to take out most of the Heavenly Body stuff, plus Bobby Eaton getting up on the apron. Cornette is upset, and there's a little bit of consternation there. Roll up by Ricky Morton. Morton gets a 2 count, gets sent to the outside, sends a double Naga knocker together for Cornette and Lane on the outside. Of course, Stan Lane pretty well done with wrestling, except as an announcer for a couple of years in WWF within the year of 1993, other than doing some fan shows and matches here and there, but done as a full-time talent by sometime in 1993. Slingshot by Lane over the top rope of Ricky Morton. Eaton sends Morton over into the hands of Cornette. Cornette jabs him with the tennis racket, and again, causes a bit of chaos there. Beautiful match, probably one of the better matches in 1993 on WCW television is this match here. Cut off by the Heavenly Bodies. Heavenly Bodies come back in, back elbows and basic stuff there. Hard shots and kind of takes him up and over and around. Tom Pritchard doesn't necessarily like being backed up into things there. Double drop kick by the Rock and Roll Express. They eventually get the almost victory, but Lane breaks things up there. Match is just super hot for the time. Cornette comes in and starts to cause issues. Match is stopped because of Cornette's entry. They do a double team finish by the Heavenly Bodies, including Bobby Eaton coming off, driving the tennis racket into the chest of Eaton. Then we go to a backstage sit down with Cactus Jack and Gordon Solie. Weird pairing, certainly, to say the very least. Cactus Jack basically says that he wants to be champion, but also says that he is looking for opportunities to be liked or hated. Doesn't really matter, just wants more spotlight on him. Warns solely that he doesn't want to be inside his mind. Probably truer words never been spoken there. Brad Armstrong and Max Payne up next. Interesting pairing. Armstrong coming back. Maybe he did actually have surgery or something there. Payne cuts him off pretty quickly and then goes for the arm bar. Gets the arm bar submission. They go maybe 3 minutes, if that. Really short. Then there's, I think, the stars of Leonard Skinner, perhaps. Something like that. Very basic music-related stuff there. Gunn and Zinc, who are hard to tell apart now that they wear identical tights and have very similar body types. The only difference is the haircut. Tex Slazenger and Shanghai Pierce are their opponents on this particular evening. Slazenger and Pierce later go on to be the Godwins in the WWF in the next little while, couple of years. Anyway, really basic tag match, not anything worth writing home about, but at the same time, not a bad match either. Gunn has been pushed pretty strongly. The hip toss, drop kick combinations. Then we see arm bars and the like, and hard shots along the way there. Irish whips, among other things. Kick by Slazenger right under the chin, and again off we go in a meaningful direction there. Finally, the use of the Thez press gets a victory. Vader hypes his upcoming match with Sting. Sting in there, getting ready for the White Castle of Fear in a couple of weeks at the pay-per-view Super Brawl 3. Obviously, worth giving an acknowledgement to. Sting has a super short, I guess you'd say squash here. Literally might have, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, nothing to write home about there. Sting, obviously, I think this is the same taping from the last week because exact same face paint. So I wouldn't imagine he'd use the same face paint twice, but anyway, he wants to get his hands on Vader, as one could imagine. Barry Windham is his opponent for the day. Windham and Sting do have a history. Cool match here, one-on-one. We'd seen them in tag match week before, and Sting goes right at him, kind of doing the back rake, eye rake thing, and kind of thought it was a squash match because of the way Sting came out. But this is your main event for the day. Windham, using his power and size, brawls with Sting for a bit, gets Sting up in that top mount position. I believe Windham wins the NWA Championship at Super Brawl. Windham not looking to be in the best of shape, very gassed, very overextended, to say the very least. Nice hanging suplex with a float over by Windham for a near fall there in the midpoint. Sting taking a good bit of punishment mere days before his run-in with Vader at the Super Brawl pay-per-view. Windham tries to get a sleeper on Sting, executes the hold, but doesn't hold him there very long. Sting is down on the canvas and takes a good bit of punishment out there. And again, Windham, hits some elbows to the top of the head, goes at Sting again in the mounted position. They fight for jockeying position with a potential for the superplex, but Sting comes off the top rope with a flying clothesline, and with about 2 minutes left in the program, he's got a Windham rocked, punches that could be better, could be worse, and the referee goes down. Sting drop kicks Windham out and sends him out of the ring. Referee still down. Sting brings the strap in that had been brought to ringside, uses the strap. Referee coming back around with less than a minute left in the television time remaining. and the referee does get the pin. Sting gets a victory a couple of weeks before Super Brawl, and we go off the air on that note. And obviously, the referee calls for the disqualification. Thought it was a pinfall. It was about 2 9/10, but disqualification there because Sting is using the strap that would be synonymous with the Vader match in a couple of weeks. But that is that. We'll be back with more right after this.